Welcome back to the channel where we're going to look at the Mercedes 300 SEL that we have here. We're a little bit behind the curve with this really because we've had so many other things going on. We've kind of missed out on quite a bit of footage with this. So we're well into it now rather than here's the car as it came in. So we've got some stills which we'll overlay now so you can see how the car was when it came in. Nice pretty car this. It's the 3.5 litre, I think. It's not the big 6.3, like the red one that we did earlier this year. Really nice original UK car. There was a few bits and pieces on it, which the customer was really concerned about, obviously, which is why it's come in. We had some corrosion sitting in around the sunroof here. We had, on this side, we had quite a bit of corrosion coming through on this wing. That wing, the driver's side wing, has obviously been replaced at some point in the car's life. Passenger wing was the original one. We had quite a bit of corrosion in here and down here and down here. So we've cut all that out, fabricated new sections. Again, I think we've got some stills we can overlay with that. Bottom of the sill here had also corroded and gone in to the inside. So all that cut out and replaced. The rear quarter panel, this wheel arch, had quite a section here. So put another repair into there. And the whole thing has gone bare metal. So this is a full Nova for Classic car repaint. Exterior bare metal. As you can see, it's not a rotisserie blasted shell. If you refer back to our video on paint stripping and so on, this is mechanically stripped back. So all the exterior paint is off. Now, there was a little bit of umming and ahhing about this car. The customer liked the colour, but was also quite keen on a mid-metallic grey. And again, if we refer back to another video, we discussed colour changes and how well they work. I will turn that off for the next video. And the engine bay is kind of the complicated area with the colour change because there's a lot more work involved. So the decision was made, no, I'll stick with the blue. It's quite a nice blue. So we cracked on with the work. We've gone through the bare metal process. We've done all the metal repairs. We've done most of the shaping. It's now sitting in Nova for Classic car anti-corrosion primer, which is straight to the bare metal. A little bit more shaping to go. And then we're into the polyester stage. And we were hoping to be in polyester by now. But then the customer gave us a call and said, you know what? I've been thinking about the colour change and it's kind of a now or never. Are we past the point of no return? Which we're not, thankfully for him. Had this been in polyester, then yes, it would have been past the point of no return, really, without a lot more work involved, because at the minute, the bare epoxy is not going to absorb anything. So we can transport the car. We don't do mechanical work here. So getting the engine bay stripped and prepped is not something that we would be doing in terms of getting off all the ancillaries. So the car would need transporting. We're now coming into winter. So we don't want anything hygroscopic on the vehicle with it being moved. So we just about sort of snuck in. So Peter decided, you know what, I only want to do this once and I want it the colour I want it. So we shipped the car off. It went over to our friends at Goblin Automotive, just up the road from us. Really great engineering, automotive engineering company. And what they've done is they've removed everything on the inner wings. Because we've got quite a bit of access in here, we can actually do quite an effective colour change without taking the engine and gearbox out. But brake pedal box, booster, the vehicles are fitted as standard with air suspension, so all the air pumps and everything else have got to come out. So that we can now, it's a bit of a fiddle, you know, perfect world, engine and gearbox would be out, the body, engine bay rather, would be blasted. But that's costs come up and up and up. So we try and work with the customer to offer the best value for what they want. So we can get in here now with the various tools that we've got, clean everything right back to be able to get a nice foundation, epoxy wet on wet, and then colour this in the chosen body colour now. Then it goes back to Goblin Automotive. They'll refit all of this, returning the car to a running and driving car. Comes back in here. We can then pick up where we left off with the rest of the body, polyester next, because most of the shaping is now done. So we're into polyester, then the epoxy top coat, and then we'll be into the customer's chosen colour. So as I say, we're a bit behind the curve with this video. We will keep this updated now and keep moving forward, so you can see the progress on this along with the other projects we've got in.
So now that we've got the car back from Goblin Automotives, we're going to start prepping the engine bay ready for colour. There's a lot of little intricate bits in the engine bay, so you can't just go and attack it all with the dual action sander, the DA, which is this big one. You can attack some of it with the DA, as in, you know, some of the larger areas, some bits there, but a lot of it's little intricate corners, nooks and crannies that we'll have to get into with other tools. Some of the stuff obviously we'll have to do by hand, but other bits we can do with this small oscillating sander, which just vibrates on the head, and we can get into smaller bits where the DA wouldn't be able to get to, along with another attachment for the oscillating sander, which we can replace and get into really tight little corners up in little spaces, and make sure that's all keyed up ready for paint. Obviously we'll attack some of the more rusted areas with a higher grit of paper, so maybe an 80 grit down to 120, but we'll have the whole engine bay finished in a 320, ready for the wet and wet epoxy. Another tool that we can use for other bits is another wire wheel, and get that into other places. So we're going to go ahead and start the prep now, ready for the wet and wet epoxy for the colour change.
Right, okay, so Luke's been really busy prepping this all up. As you can see, there's still quite a lot in here, but as we keep kind of trying to push forward, it's balance between cost and value and customer requirements. The colour change was kind of a last minute thing, and these are quite complex. There's a lot involving getting the engine and gearbox out, so the engine bay is all stripped, it's all prepped. What we're going to do with this is we're going to go with a wet on wet epoxy. So we've got some nice anti-corrosion, some really good adhesion, and because it's wet on wet, we don't have to go back in and key it all up again. We've keyed it up well enough, plenty well enough, with 2 coats of the 38500 with a really good flash off time. We can then go straight on with the colour and the clear coat, so the whole thing gets painted in one hit. And as I say, we've got the anti-corrosion, we've got the colour, we've got a nice decent lacquer on there, and it's ready to go back to Goblin to have all the gubbins put back in here. So all that's left now is, I'm going to say every painter's worst nightmare, but I'm beginning to learn that some people actually enjoy this, but masking. Yeah. Right, we'll crack on, we'll get this masked up now, ready to get some paint on. Right, okay, we're all masked out now, we're all good to go. So what we're going to do next is, it's been degreased and cleaned down several times now, but we've been all over this, mostly with gloves, sometimes without gloves. So now that all tape's in, all masked down, we're just going to give it one final degrease, and then we're into getting some paint on this thing. Okay, so we're masked up, we're degreased, we're all tacked down, we're all good to go. So we're going to mix up now the 38500, which is our wet on wet epoxy. We'll get 2 coats of that on, good 20-minute flash off between each coat, and then we're ready to go in with a colour. Just quickly, as you've seen, this is really, really tight inside this engine bay. So we're going to use this amazing little gun. Probably my favourite gun at the minute. This is the iWatt LPH80. Awesome little mini gun, this. It's just so much control. Get the paint exactly where you want it to get it. It runs, I think, between 0.8 and 1.5 bar. You can get a tiny little fan, really control what goes where. Awesome bit of kit, really, really versatile. This is the 1.2 tip. So we can use this with a wet on wet, we can use it with a colour, and we can use it with a lacquer. Awesome gun, this. Highly recommended. Let's get some 38500 mixed up. As we've discussed before with the 38500, this is the olive green, so same as we were discussing last week with William Pink. The Nova Classic Car epoxy as an anti-corrosion system is olive green. Same here with the 38500 on the wet on wet anti-corrosion. Lovely little primer. So we'll get this in, we'll go and get painting. Okay, so now we've had good flash off times on those. First coat we left it 20 minutes, second coat we left it 40 minutes, that's with 38500. You can leave this for up to 12 hours before you apply any top coat. Anything over 12 hours, you've got to give it a grey scotch. Now, as we know, this is a colour change. So time for the big colour change reveal, I guess. We're going to go with this colour. Okay, so there we go. One engine bay painted. It's now in Mercedes code 180 silver grey. Period correct colour for the car. So yeah, that's all done. We'll unmask it, and then tomorrow it goes off to Goblin Automotive. Always stumble over that. Get everything fitted up under here. Comes back a running, driving car again, and we'll carry on with the bodywork. So that's it for part one on this car. We've got some more big stuff coming up, but obviously we're continuing with this and the Transit. So part two of this will be coming shortly, and I think we're now part four of the Transit is imminent as well. So thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, found it informative, or at least entertaining. Hit subscribe, and we will be back soon for more videos.